welcome in everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We got everybody in the house. How you doing on Friday, guys?
It's a Friday.
Yeah.
It's early.
Friday is always a beautiful day.
Well, yeah, you're on the West Coast. You're on my time now.
Yeah, I know. Having to get up early like this is tough.
Oh, man. So, I figure we have to light this off with an NBA thing because Ja Morant is a moron.
He's going to
obviously, he gets in trouble before because he gets on Instagram Live and brandishing a weapon, right? He gets in trouble for that, then does it again, gets a suspension. So on April 1st, he jumps out, does finger guns to Golden State's bench.
Mm-hmm.
NBA's like, hey, we're not doing that, right? Plus, you already have a history of doing dumb stuff with guns anyway, right? So
absolutely,
you can't even hide the fact of what it is he's trying to insinuate here. So then, right after getting a warning from the NBA, 2 days later against Miami, does it again. You think he gets suspended?
He got a $75,000 fine this morning, but I mean,
he doesn't care about that.
No, they just need to kick him out of the league at this point. You've already been warned for this. It's not like it's the first time you've done it. You've already been suspended for it the first time. I mean, look at Major League Baseball and all that. You get hit for steroids the first time, it's 100 or 80 games. You get hit for steroids the second time, it's 162. You get hit for steroids the third time, you're done. Guess what? Last year, it was your strike one. You got suspended. This year, a $75,000 fine. I wouldn't be surprised if strike two, another suspension's coming after that, and then he'll be pretty much done if he does it again.
I mean, this is a guy that's been in Silver's office a lot. At some point, the commissioner, if he doesn't do something a little bit more serious, he's going to look like a soft.
He's not going to get anything that drastic because this is a celebration. It's not him actually pointing guns at Golden State and Miami. So, it is a little different than what he was doing on Instagram Live. Plus, we will put out there that he is a legal gun owner. So it's not like it was something like illegal weapons and, all of that. But at the same time, when the league's telling you no, how much self-sabotage are you trying to create?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's pretty easy to just not do that type of celebration.
Or maybe he knows that the league isn't really going to do too much to him, so he's okay and willing to do it anyway.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they ain't going to do a damn thing.
Exactly.
On the asylum over there, and it is going to be part of the thing of what happens with the NBA. The NBA is a sham and is ridiculous anymore. And
it absolutely is.
That's so they're going to be. He's going to get a small little smack on the wrist. Don't do that again. And of course, he's going to do it again, and they're going to get another smack and be like, "Don't do that again."
And that's my point. You're making the commissioner look soft when he doesn't do things like in a more serious nature. He just looks soft.
And think about this. Let's think about this. All right. So he gets fined $75,000. He makes what? $286,000 a game.
Yeah, I was going to say that fine is a rounding error for him.
It's one quarter. It's one quarter.
Okay, so I only pulled in $200,000 to this game. Okay, not a big deal.
It's one quarter for him basically of not playing.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing is the monetary end obviously doesn't matter to him, right? And the not playing doesn't seem to matter to him, really.
No.
So, I mean, I don't know how you discipline a guy that doesn't care if he plays and doesn't care if you fine him.
Look, this is the same guy whose dad goes to NBA games and gets thrown out by the refs. So you clearly know that his level of being raised as a child wasn't the best in terms of moral character. Okay, it's not like this guy came from a home where
I don't know his
right
dad,
from wrong was taught.
Well, no, this was a topic that I got very emotional and very sensitive with last year.
Okay.
Just because Ja Morant has a daughter.
Okay.
I have a daughter. His daughter's like 3. My daughter's like 7.
Okay.
You are supposed to be a role model for your kids.
Yeah. For sure.
Not only are you going on Instagram, basically advertising that you have these guns, doing what you're doing, but part of your Instagram post is you're from the streets and you're doing this and you're doing that. You're not from the streets. You go to the streets of Chicago or the streets of New York or any bad city and post the shit that he posted last year, he's never coming home to his daughter again. They will pop him
sure.
and he is done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And what is he? 25.
25. Yeah, he's 25 going on 26. This is why he got kicked out of Kentucky. What a lot of people don't realize, like he was drafted out of Murray State, but he had a full ride scholarship to the University of Kentucky coming out of high school, but never was given the opportunity to go to Kentucky because of this type of behavior. He had a track record of this behavior back in high school. He had a track record of just being a stupid moron back in high school that you saw the trend starting to come before he even got to the NBA.
well, I mean, I guess at least he's consistent.
Yeah. Well, what do they say? The best prediction of future behavior is past behavior. So he didn't come, I guess, from the best moral character family. I mean, you can clearly tell by his dad. I mean, I think he puts that on display every time he's at the damn arena.
Yeah, but it's not like he had a rough upbringing.
No, I'm not. You don't have to have a rough upbringing to have really terrible guidance as you're coming up.
Sure.
I mean, you see that all the time. I think he lives in a world where consequences don't really mean too much to him.
Well, and they really don't now that he makes hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
And the league doesn't actually do anything.
The thing that I wish he would understand, apart from having the daughter, is the city that he lives in where he's doing this. Memphis was ranked the second most dangerous city in the United States in 2024. And yet you want to do the stuff that you're doing in that city. Everyone in that city knows how much money you have. You pull that crap to the wrong person in Memphis, you're dead. Like, there is no getting around the crap that he's doing. It's going to get him killed before.
Well, I mean, when he was waving the gun around, it was in a car with his friends. Like, it wasn't exactly like, hey, let me go find the hardest neighborhood to go like run around with a gun. Like, that's not how that went.
I know, but it's still the concept of it, because even if you're not going like to the rough neighborhoods of Memphis, all it takes is for somebody from that rough neighborhood to drive by you, see you waving the gun, and then they get the wrong impression of it, and then
but he wasn't doing that. It's not like he was driving into Watts and like waving a gun around. Like he's in some neighborhood. Like, come on.
He's not in a neighborhood. He's in his gated house.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Come on,
like,
in his driveway. Let's be for real.
Yeah, like he was in zero danger of anything happening. He's just stupid.
I think for me, it's just more the impression that young kids that look up to athletes like that, and trust me, my wife's a teacher, and I hear all about the children and things that go on. When you look up to kids or NBA athletes like that, and you see them doing those kinds of things, and you see the lack of regard for any kind of consequence, they take that and they run with it. So even though he may be in a quote unquote gated community, the kids that he's influencing aren't. Mm-hmm. And the things that happen in these schools aren't. So you do have and he doesn't have a responsibility, these kids. Nobody does. Their parents do. But at the end of the day, there is some level of influence that he does have. And I tell you, it's the kids that come from a lack of parenting households or single family households that are the most influenced by it. Because they don't have the parents at home giving them those guidances, because they're out there working or doing whatever it is to try to put food on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for our older crowd that watches, it makes me think of that old Charles Barkley. I'm not a role model.
I think that was exactly what came through my head. Yeah, exactly what came to my head.
Yep,
I am not a role model.
Mean, like, athletes shouldn't be, right? I mean, maybe in their sport. But they don't take over the role of being a good parent. Like you may want to emulate what they do on the court, but most of these athletes are a problem off the court anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but I think that's where the league has to come in and say, look, we don't expect you to be a quote unquote role model, but there are regulations that this league doesn't want to transcend to these children. And there is rules that you need to follow, and it complies with what we want. You don't have to be a role model. Just don't do stupid shit.
They 100% do not care about that.
I know they don't. I know. That's the damn problem with this country. That's the problem with it.
No. They are protecting their brand. That is the only thing they care about.
I get that. I get it.
Bottom line. That's
I get it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I get it.
That was the same way. Like they didn't care about concussions till they got sued.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just like, yeah, I mean, your brain's mush, cool, whatever. I mean, you were fine when you played with us. So
Well, that's true.
then they got that class action lawsuit, and they're like, oh yeah, no safety. Like,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Bo. I understand business is business, and that's always going to trump everything else. I get it. I get
well, that's all they
I
care
do.
about. Like
I understand.
they're not out there, trying to be role models or telling their guys they have to be role models. They're just like, yeah, don't mess up our brand. If you don't mess up our brand, we actually don't really care. Like you can go do whatever it is you want to do. If it starts reflecting on us, well, now we have a problem, and only because it affects our bottom line.
I agree. I mean, I understand that. And yeah. It's sad. It's sad that that's the way it is, but I understand that that's the way it is.
That's the way it works.
Yep.
Unfortunately. But I'm done talking about really the NBA in general. I can't stand the NBA anymore. The hardest part about being like talking about the NBA is that I miss the old days.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Like when there were real players. When there were real players and real guys, and it was a real game, and it was not about the bullshit, just the BS. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a lot better of a game in general.
Absolutely.
And I've been doing some like research on some history and stuff like that, and especially being out here in LA, like I'm just, I've been thinking about like who's like all the players that the LA Lakers have had just over the years.
Yeah.
And like then watching this team right now, because I got to watch a little bit of the game last night just because it happened to be on TV, because they happened to be at a bar and they happened to be playing the Golden State Warriors. You know what I mean? So, and I thought Draymond Green signed with another team this year.
No.
Did they
Clay
trade?
Thompson.
No, yeah. There was talk that he was going to be a free agent and go to, but they actually wound up bringing him back in, and
They chose him over Clay Thompson ultimately because they had to decide which one of those two to bring back.
Which
Okay.
makes sense, actually.
I mean, I guess so. So that makes more sense to me. I just, like I said, I was thinking about that. I'm like, damn, I thought he was somewhere else.
He almost signed with the Pistons because he went to college at Michigan State, so he almost wound up signing a 2-year deal with the Pistons. But then when Klay Thompson signed with Dallas, he ended up coming back to Golden State because they basically said, well, Klay Thompson left, so here, the money we were going to give him, you can have.
Yeah. Christopher, and that's the thing, right? And Pags, that's the thing, man. The style of the NBA, the way the NBA is played, the way things are done, it's all a sign of the time. Look, back in our days, back in the 90s, the early 2000s, 80s, 70s, 60s, whatever, it was a different era. It was a different way that your kids were brought up. Everything was different. Everything, the way you're taught, the things that you're taught, everything was different. Now, 2025, this Gen Zs and the way that they are, the millennials, the way they are, the way that it's just not the same. The way they're brought up is not the same. So if you're brought up a certain kind of way, or if you're bringing up is different than it was in past decades, the game is going to change right along with it because that's just the way it works.
Well, I mean, the rules changed also.
Well, the rules, yeah, I understand. The rules do change a little bit as well. But they don't have the soul for the game. They don't have the love for the game that we do. It's more it's more
agree
business.
with Chris there. Like if we did any of this stuff in our actual jobs, you'd get fired most likely.
Oh, yeah,
unless
you
were, unless again,
Yeah, you
were
would.
a super top performer, right? Which is John Morant, right? He's an all-star level player. If he was a bench rider, that dude wouldn't be in the league anymore.
No.
See, come on, Dustin, come on.
How do I do that?
And boom, he's gone. Like, I
See, now I got to do it this way. I had to figure it out. Hold on, there you go. Fire it up, fire it up.
I like that you turn into Yosemite Sam. A rootin' tootin' good.
That was a good cartoon, dadgummit.
Man.
So I obviously I am out in LA, and the Phillies are going up against the Dodgers way too early in the season. And of course it's happening in Philadelphia. It's not happening here, which would have been friggin' amazing to have it all work out at that time. But no, of course, I'm not going to be there. And the Dodgers are, of course, 8-0. The Padres are 7-0.
That's who we get.
And then, of course, the Braves are 0-7.
And the Guardians.
Yeah.
The Guardians are 0-7.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Braves and the
they were
Guardians.
2-5. I mean, maybe let me check again because I
You
thought
could be right. I thought they said the Guardians and Braves are both winless with the Padres.
Guardians are 2-4.
So they might have started 0-4.
Everybody else has got to win. Everybody else has got to win.
Okay.
So
Look at
Yeah,
us,
the Guardians.
3-4. Hey.
the Guardians have lost 3 in a row.
Hey, I'm
so
right
they were-
there with you. I think we're
The
tired.
Guardians
of
were
you,
2-1. And interestingly enough, the team in first place in that division, well, everybody's got a record of 2-4 except the Twins, which are 2-5. The White
Yep.
Sox.
Yeah.
Interesting. But anyways, what I really was trying to talk about was the fact that you have like literally 4 teams that have 1 loss or fewer.
Mhm.
And they are the Phillies, the Giants, the Padres, and the Dodgers.
Yep.
Now, the Dodgers, everybody's going to think that they're trying to make the play to go 162-0. And that ain't happening. In fact, that ends today. That ends today because the one thing I will say for certain is that the Phillies love playing the Dodgers. They love playing the Dodgers. And I am excited to watch this game. It's a shame I didn't bring any Phillies gear. I'm actually bummed about it. I'm like, damn it, I didn't bring anything Phillies. I just didn't think about it when I was packing at 3:00 in the morning before I left for the plane at 4:00 in the morning. But I think it's just going to be a really good series. Is it too early to make it this series mean too much for the playoffs?
Yeah.
Just because of injuries and stuff like that. I mean, is this a precursor though? Is this a precursor?
Well, it's
to
certainly
what could
considered
possibly
tone.
be?
Well, no, because the way I look at it too, and I'm gonna throw the Cubs in there for right now. The Cubs' next 20 games. So basically, for the rest of April, up until the final 3 games of April, they have the Dodgers 5 games, the Padres 6 games, the Phillies 3 games, the Mets 3 games, and then they have the Diamondbacks again in there. They're pretty much going to be done with the 3 statistically best teams in the National League by the end of April. So if they go 8-12 over these next 20 games, which that doesn't seem like a good record because it's not, but when you have 20 games against that type of a schedule, going 8-12 would be considered a win. The Cubs have the easiest schedule in baseball for the month of May. They have the second easiest schedule in the month of July. So they have 2 months where they can just stack a bunch of wins where if they struggle now, it may not make a difference come the playoffs because when things lighten up, then they should be able to at least take care of their business as long as they play up to their standards. But like now, we're not even 14 games into the season. Like I hate when people say like this is like a must-win series or this is like a series to set the tone for the playoffs. You can't really tell that 14 games into the season because what happens at the trade deadline? What happens if the Phillies go and trade for a closer or the Phillies go and trade for this person and then you don't see the Dodgers?
100%. Yeah, so
What I was going to say there is that really depends on the team because when you look at the Mariners, we know they're not going to do
Well,
anything.
no, yeah, that's why I was using. That's why I was throwing that in there.
If
Though
you're playing bad,
I
we're
think
not
this
going to
is
do anything after the All-Star break or at the trade deadline. Then we can look at this and be like, oh yeah, no, we might be in trouble already.
let's just say the Phillies get swept or the Dodgers get swept, either or. I don't know when they play the second time, but let's just say all 6 of their meetings between the two are before July. And someone goes 5-1 in those 6 meetings, and then all of a sudden you have the trade deadline and both teams make additions. You can't really be like, oh, those 2 series early in the year were a precursor to the playoffs because both teams could look different after the trade deadline. You don't know what either one of those teams are going to do, and unless they match up in that second half of the season, those first meetings early in the year really are going to mean nothing later.
No, I mean, they still mean something because it's not like you're turning over the whole team. Like you might add a piece or two, but largely the roster will still be the same. So
actually, and this is the other thing that really bothers me is that, of course, the next time we play the Dodgers after this weekend, this weekend is the 15th, 16th, and 17th of September. So it's like, really? Like of all the time,
I'd rather have that than play the Dodgers 7 times in a month of April and then be done with them.
No, I mean, then you're done with them.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Then you are done with them. You know what I mean? And have played them 7 times in the month of April. Interestingly enough, I feel like when you play a team more frequently, you start to get more used to the pitching, and that's kind of the benefit of doing that.
Yeah.
By doing these games early in the season, and then going later, it sucks because now it's like, okay, all right, here it is. Now it's like, okay, these games mean so little, and the ones in September could mean so much.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, I think this is a good way to see how the Phillies stack up against the Dodgers with all the new additions to that team. So you're going to get an idea of where you stack up against them. And if you come away winning that series, it doesn't mean much now, but it does mean a little bit knowing that, oh, okay, yeah, man, we can compete with this team. Like, I know they got this big payroll, this massive payroll, but we got a squad.
See, the only reason why
That's the one thing that the Phillies have been.
The only reason why I disagree with that is because the Dodgers had those 2 games in Tokyo. Like they started before everybody else. So like their team had to be ready before everybody else. They had to be out of spring training mode before everybody else. Like they had to be at full go. A lot of teams in baseball right now, their starting pitchers are only going 5 innings right now because they're still kind of on that 85 to 90 pitch count. The Dodgers starters right now are at 100 plus pitchers because they had those first 2 games in Tokyo. They had to be ready to go for those games. So they're basically a week ahead of everybody right now. So like when you look at the Phillies pitching, tonight is a prime example because it's Jesus Luzardo versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto's going to go 6-7 innings because he's going to be on his typical 95 to 100 pitch limit. Luzardo, he might only go 5 innings because they're not going to throw him more than 85, 90 pitches yet.
Well, Luzardo, I think went. I think was it 80, 87, 88 in his last start there. And it'll depend on how he's going tonight. I feel like tonight is going to be the toughest win to get, because I think Nola, again, same situation. The Phillies love beating the Dodgers. They love beating up that pitching. So I have a feeling that that's where you're going to see a lot of that stuff. And I got to expect that it's going to be an energetic crowd tonight at Citizens Bank Park. I mean, I'm actually very unhappy that I'm not there because I would be all over it, all over this series. And it's frustrating that I am not there.
I think tomorrow will be the more energetic crowd just because Roki Sasaki pitches tomorrow. And I think they'll try to get in his head, being that he's a 21-year-old rookie making his 3rd major league start. Like, I think they'll try to rattle him like super early.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, so, I don't know. I don't know what I would say. I'd have to think about it because I you don't want to say Saki sucks because that's just not appropriate. You gotta come out with like, Hasi Saki or whatever it is or something like that. So, hey, Moose, stop putting my business out there. Anyways, if I want Phillies gear, I could just buy it out here. I'm sure I could find some place that's selling it.
Oh, of course.
Did you bring your Phillies paint though?
Don't worry about what I'm doing. What I say about leaving my business alone.
I'm old. I only hear half the stuff. We're good.
But how about the Padres starting out 7-0?
And they're doing that without Yu Darvish in the rotation, and they're doing that with Dylan Cease struggling right now. So their 2 best starters, one of them is hurt, and the other one is struggling to throw strikes right now, and they're still 7-0.
Well, is that just straight out because of? Well, they got 36 run scores, and they're only giving up 11.
Yeah,
again,
like their pitching has been ridiculously good. Like the guy that goes today for the Padres is Nelson Velasquez, who, I mean, he's not a great pitcher. And then the guy they have going tomorrow is Nick Pivetta, who's got like a career 4.70 ERA, and he's made 2 starts and he's got a 0.
So, well, I think that it's
the NL West is going to be an absolute gauntlet this year between the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Dodgers. Like, if the Giants have gotten off to a good start, they're 5-1. I don't think they're going to finish in the top 3. I think they're the 4th best team in that division. That's not to say they're not going to win 85 games this year, because they do have a very good starting staff that's going to keep them in a lot of games. But the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Dodgers all have the talent to win 95 to 100 games. Dodgers and Padres 100 more games. Like, those 3 teams are just going to tear each other apart, I think, the whole year.
I don't think the Diamondbacks have that type of power. I think the Diamondbacks are going to be fighting for that 6th wild card spot.
Like, they made a lot of additions that I forgot they even made until they played the Cubs. And, like, when I saw some of the additions they made, I'm like, holy crap, you actually added him. And then I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot you signed Corbin Burns for that massive deal. Now you have Burns, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly as the top 3 in that rotation with Brandon Pfaadt as your number 4. Then they got Josh Naylor from the Cleveland Guardians in a trade that everyone forgot even happened, because Josh Naylor was one of the best hitters in the American League last year, and they traded him over to the Diamondbacks when the Diamondbacks lost Christian Walker.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Christian Walker to show up for the Astros. He's batting under 200 right now. It's like watching a slow burn, man.
Bono's a batting under 200, feels like.
Yeah, well, when the whole team is batting under 200, that's.
I mean, yeah. I think Altuve is the only one that's like I think he's batting 315 right now, but yeah, it sucks.
Yeah,
It sucks.
197 as a group.
Yeah,
That is rough.
yeah, it is.
And interestingly enough, still winning games.
Still winning games. Yeah, well, I mean pitching, right? It's the pitching. We are where we've been a million times already. Is if we can keep you under 4 runs, we can win. If you hit 4 runs or more, well, that may not work out. So, but yeah, I mean the pitching's good. Like, it's some of the best in the league. We just don't have people that can hit the ball.
Well, right now we're for the first time in a long time, I can say I'm right there with you, because right now we got good pitching, but we're not able to hit the damn ball right now. And then I can't tell how many times I've seen 0 for 2s, 0 for 4s, 0 for 4s with Alvarez, and I'm like, come on, Alvarez.
You know why that is, though. You know why that is, though. Alvarez doesn't have that protection in the lineup anymore that Tucker's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Like, Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. Tucker's killing it right now. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, no, but that's kind of why, like, that's kind of why Seiya Suzuki's gotten off to such a good start with the Cubs right now. He's got 4 homers and leads the major leagues with 13 RBIs. It's because he actually has Kyle Tucker hitting behind him now.
Yeah.
So they actually have to throw Suzuki more fastballs because they don't want to put him on base ahead of Tucker.
Thank you, Dana Brown. Thank you for trading away Kyle Tucker. I so love you. Thank you.
Well, and the thing that's funny is for us, the guy that actually has been hitting decent, Polanco is one of our only guys, is on maternity leave. So he's not going to be there for a week or so anyway. So the one guy that is actually hitting isn't going to be in the lineup.
I like Jorge.
What's Rodriguez's? What's his batting average right now? Is he around the 190 range?
Oh yeah. No, he's not hitting particularly well. I mean, we have I forget who it is. One of our batters is batting 97.097.
Oh goodness,
killing it.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez is hitting a 182.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
The
no.
hardest part about that I have about our staff is that we have a lot of guys who strike out a lot. They're just striking out an awful lot, and they're still batting 300 as a team, which is kind of interesting to me because we're not usually a good starting team. But I mean, it's just like Bohm with 5 strikeouts, Harper 6 strikeouts, Schwarber 6 strikeouts. I'm used to that with Schwarber, but Real Muto 6 strikeouts, Kepler 5 strikeouts, Marsh 5 strikeouts. It's like, damn, guys, hit the ball, make some contact. It just bothers me that they continually are swing and a miss.
See, that's
and that's something the Mariners have ran into also. A couple weeks ago, or I mean, a couple games ago, I think they had 12 or 13 strikeouts. Rob, I don't think bringing the walls in helps that out. I think they just don't hit the ball consistently. So, I mean, when you have double-digit strikeouts, it's not generally a great day.
No. And that's the thing with like what Pegs was saying too, with the Phillies striking out so much. Like that is the trend with a lot of these big home run hitting teams. And obviously the Phillies are a big home run hitting team because they got power like up and down that lineup, like 1 through 8, everybody can hit 20 home runs. But so many teams now are just in that strikeout or home run mentality where if you go 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, but then you hit a 3-run homer in your 4th at bat, nobody gives a shit about the 3 strikeouts you had prior to the game because you just hit a home run on your 4th at bat that drove in 3 guys.
Yeah, the problem with that, like for the Mariners, is we don't have power hitters really. So
No, yeah,
you're
your team would
striking
be
out a lot,
yeah.
and then you're still contact hitters, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, you can't be a contact hitter and strike out a lot. Like you have to make contact. If you're gonna hit bombs, then sure, but
a lot of like a lot of old school baseball fans that like grew up in the 80s and 90s, like watching like small ball and like hitting runs and bunts and things like that. They get like so frustrated watching baseball now because of all the strikeouts and things like that. And like it's just the way the game is played though. Like you used to sign somebody in free agency based on their high batting average, based on their production, everything that went with it. And now you see all these guys like Pete Alonso, who's like a 230 career hitter, signing for the money he's getting. And a lot of these 230 career hitters are signing for the money they're getting because people do not care about batting average anymore. They don't care about the strikeouts anymore. And they don't care if you have a high on base percentage or not. What they care is if you can get 1 hit a game that can drive in 2 or 3 people. That's all they care about. You can go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts,
so
but if you get
the thing
one
that's funny is for your 1 hit to drive 2 or 3 people in means somebody has to be making contact.
Yeah, some. Well, I mean, those guys could have been. Those guys could
Either
have been.
that or you're leaning into the ball.
Yeah, those guys could have been 0 for 4 or 2 heading into that hit. But like that's where a lot of like these free agent signings, like the contracts that you see some of these players get. You look at the power numbers, and it's like, okay, yeah, you might be worth the power numbers, but you're only hitting a 220. Are you really worth $35 million a year with a 220 average? GMs don't really care about the average anymore. It's like if you can produce, if you can hit home runs and drive in runs, we'll give you $35 million a year and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hitting 220 and you have 40 home runs, they'll be looking at the home runs for sure. Yeah. If you hit 220 and you have 5 home runs, no.
Well, let's talk about Kyle Schwarber.
That's what I was just about to say. Kyle Schwarber is
just talking about Kyle Schwarber. The fact that he has been hitting really somewhere in the neighborhood of like 400 or 500 right now. I think his actual average is about 308 right now. Yeah. But realistically, I mean, he started off on fire. Like
wasn't he go 197 last year? Or close to like the
somewhere
Mendoza
close to that. No, I think he came up higher. I think it was like towards the end of the season, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 235.
Yeah. But he hits
all of this sounds great in the beginning of the season, except for the fact that when it comes October 1st, you better be moving at a faster speed because ultimately it's if you're hot or not. Yep. I mean, I think about this over the last couple of years where at least one of the divisions, I think it was last year, may have been the one time it didn't happen. But since they had a wild card team has made the World Series. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the way it's been. I think last year being the Dodgers and the Yankees. I think, but that was the first time since the wild card that both teams that were like number 1 made it.
I think it was the first time since they expanded the wild card and added the 6 playoff teams as opposed
right, because ultimately now you have the blank series.
Yeah. Because now you're the first 2 teams have like that that opening round.
That bye series. That's the blank series is what I call it. It's
so that was the first time since they did that no wild card teams made the World Series. But yeah, typically a wild card team usually does make the championship series though, because
and I feel like that they should make that change a little bit more. So now that the season ends on a Sunday, it should literally be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then starting on Friday would be the next series.
The only reason why I think they do it now is they want those teams to have that travel day on Monday in case you're going from West Coast to East Coast or vice versa. They just want those teams to have that one travel day where they can go from where they just were, get to their next series if they made the playoffs. That's the only reason why they have that Monday off.
So, but yeah, but understanding that, but Sunday is always a getaway day. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They can make that time. They could start these games at 11:35 if they want to.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah. So you can make it a getaway day, and you should not give them any ability to change why make it worthwhile for the wild card teams, so that they could get their stuff in order. You should make it harder for them because they're the ones that didn't win the division. Because ultimately, taking 3 days off, I mean, we see what the All-Star break does to some of these teams,
Right.
and of course, I'm a little frustrated because last year, obviously, the Mets were a lot hotter than the Phillies were, and that's ultimately that's what it came down to. They were at least a lot hotter against the Phillies because they went to sleep in LA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just listen, I was even rooting for them to beat the Dodgers, and because I've just always not liked the Dodgers, and since Tommy Lasorda, and he was a Philly guy, you know what I mean? And I never liked them then either. So I mean, I'm interested in this series. Like I'm really kind of even making this argument right now because it's like this is way too early in the season for these two teams to meet. They never typically do it this way. So it bothers me that they are this early in the season meeting up. And the fact that they have one loss between them is actually great. I love that part.
Mhm.
But
yeah, well, and this right here, this is the Mariners 100%. You have guys striking out that are pretending like they're long ball hitters and they're not. It makes me think of Major League 2, right? When they're like, maybe he's just pointing to the left fielder. Like,
Do you know somebody out there? What's he pointing out there?
well, the other thing I have, so the biggest problem I have, and this is where I thought Edgar Martinez would actually do well for you guys, and I'm a little frustrated about our hitting coach with the Phillies. Listen, I understand that these guys like to go for power, and ultimately, and that's they're trying to hit home runs and stuff like that. But here's the problem I have. When I think about Alec Bohm, and I'm going to be on Alec Bohm all year this year, not because I want him on the team, but I want him to go up there with a plan at the plate. And the problem is that he continually is swinging at these first pitches and continually ruining innings. And it bothers me that he's been up at least 2 times that I've seen with the bases loaded. One time specifically where I watched where the first guy got walked, the second guy got hit by a pitch. So to load the bases, and you're swinging at the first pitch to end the inning. Stop it. Like, obviously, he just walked and hit the batters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's been erratic all inning long. I know you want to see that first pitch fastball going down the plate, but stop. I mean, it's just like, and I feel like if I was the hitting coach, I'd be like, listen, here's what I want you to do. When you go to batting practice, I want you to first pitch swing. If that pitch goes out, then all game long, you're allowed to swing at the first pitch. If you don't hit a home run on that first pitch at batting practice, you can't swing at the first pitch all game long. That bat's got to sit on your shoulder. I don't care if it's a meatball.
That's literally what I tell my kids every game. I don't care what the situation is or whatever. I tell the only person that every one of my kids at bats, I say they're taking the first pitch. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what the score is or whatever. I never let any of my kids swing at the first pitch.
You see, you can't do it like that either, though.
The only one
I understand your thought process. Like, listen, you got to get the timing down. You want to be able to see the pitches. Obviously, it's it teaches them a lot of different things. But you can't just have them specifically not swing at the first pitch. You need them to have, like, there are certain times, like, I want the batter to be aggressive. Mm-hmm. I now, not that, hey, swing at anything on the first pitch, but I want you, like, hey, listen, there's one out, there's 2 men on or runners at the corners. It's in the 6th or 7th inning. saying that a game goes 9. I'm saying maybe it's the 5th inning because you guys are going 7th.
Yeah.
I want my batter to be aggressive. So watching that first pitch may be the only good pitch he sees the entire
Yeah,
at-bat.
was the only two hitters that I will give permission to swing at the first pitch is my leadoff hitter, because a lot of times he will bunt on the first pitch and beat it out because he's fast as shit. Or my cleanup hitter who hit like 9 home runs last year, where if the first pitch he sees is probably going to be the best pitch he sees in that at bat, where if he doesn't hit it, he's probably not going to see another strike the rest of the bat. So like those are the only two where I'm like, if you like it, swing. Otherwise, the rest of my wants, I want to be patient, because last year we worked the count, I think, better than most of the teams we played. The only teams that did better than us were like the 3 games that we lost. But for the most part, we got most starting pitchers out by the 4th inning, because they were ready at like 90, 95 pitches by the 4th inning, because we would take that first pitch, whether it was a 1-0 or 0-1. A lot of our counts ended up being full counts by the end of the at-bat because we battled back. Like, we forced that pitcher to actually throw a strike. If he does throw a strike on that first pitch, then it is what it is. I did play it. What are you talking about? Not long.
So, but I mean, but realistically, like that, again, this is the problem I have with Bohm. Incredibly, I feel like that he goes up to the plate sometimes without a plan whatsoever, and that frustrates me to no end.
And I think a lot of the players like that.
Well, and why? Like, what I don't get it. How is it possible that you can do that? That you are able to go up there without any mental plan on what's going on? So that, like, that's why, I'll be honest. Nick Castellanos right now is hitting 238. He's starting every game. However, he's got the most walks on the team. He's got 4 walks on the team.
I think
now the other guy who's got the most tied for the most walks on the team is Brad Marsh. Now the problem I have with Brad Marsh or with Marsh, Brad Marsh. Brad Marsh was a hockey player. Yeah. Brandon Marsh is the baseball player. Now, the problem I have with Brandon Marsh is that he's also got 6 strikeouts. So he's got, out of 15 at-bats, he's got 6 strikeouts. You know what I mean? So, but he's got 4 walks. So he is getting on base. Obviously, I want him looking at as many pitches as possible, because ultimately I feel like the more pitches he looks at, the better he gets in the count. But I would love to see, and I'm going to have to start to do some research on this. I'm going to figure this out, because I'm going to be up Bohm's ass a little bit this year. Not because, again, this is constructive criticism. This isn't like I want him off the team. I think that he is a good player. I want him here. I want him to have a better understanding of what it is he's doing. And I know that he likes to be aggressive. He is one of those guys that feels that he needs to be aggressive all the time. But I want to know what your batting average is by swinging at the first pitch in comparison to every other pitch in that at bat. You know, and
I know. I looked up that. I kind of looked into that last year, because I think a lot of the reason why these hitters don't have a plan anymore is launch angle does play a factor in it, because they want to try to get under the ball and lift it. But now, less than ever, you're getting less first pitch fastballs now more than ever. Like, hitters used to know, like, a first pitch fastball was coming, or hitters used to know in a 2-0 or a 3-0 count that a fastball was coming, so you can kind of sit on it. There's no guarantee that you're getting a fastball in 2-0 anymore. There's no guarantee that you're getting a fastball in 3-0 anymore. So a lot of these plans that these hitters used to have, they kind of have to throw them out the window, because it's more of a guessing game now, where it's like, well, am I getting a fastball in this count? Am I getting a breaking ball in this count? I kind of just got to pick a spot in the strike zone and hope I get it. But I know last year they were saying when a hitter swung at the first pitch, regardless if it was a fastball, a changeup, a breaking ball, whatever, their average when swinging at the first pitch was a 226. Their average when swinging after the first pitch was a 240. Not a big difference, but a 14-point difference is a slight difference, which is why a lot of hitters now don't want to swing at that first pitch, because you kind of get a chance to be like, okay, he threw a fastball in this
sequence. It's 1 hit and 12 at-bats. I mean, it's 1 hit and 12 at-bats. That's what that comes out to be. Yeah. So, I mean, and that makes a big difference over the course of 1,000 at-bats. You know what I mean? And every time, and Frankie, just every time I see that name Yamamoto, I think of Star Blazers. You know, that was the name of the ship. the Yamoto. It wasn't the Yamamoto, but it kind of still reminds me that I feel like he's saying "Our Star Blazers."
Now, hey, I took Bohm on my fantasy team, and I've been so frustrated with him because I really, I know what Bohm can do, and the fact that he's, like you said, he's just in the rut, man. And again, it comes down to patience,
But he's still
I
hitting
expected more.
286. He's still hitting 286, so I can't complain about it in that regards. He still does get on base and hits the ball, and when he does hit the ball, he hits it for power, not necessarily out of the park power. I like the fact that he drives balls. So it's just that for some reason or another, when he swings at these first pitches with guys in scoring position, he winds up not doing what he's supposed to do. And I would prefer that he not do that, especially when you had the last two guys in front of you just get on base due to poor pitching.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's kind of where I'm at with that. But ultimately, I'm not trying to. I don't want to put him in a slump by saying, "Yo, man, what the frig you doing? Wake the frig up." I want him to know what it is that he's doing because I don't listen. The Phillies have an amazing coaching staff. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say listen, I never played Major League Baseball. So, and I can imagine that that's the first argument that I hear. Like, you're a guy that freaking paints his face. What do you know? Well, you know what I know? I know that I've watched a lot of baseball games, that I've been to a lot of baseball games. And I've watched a lot of hitters do a lot of things. And I played the game. It's not like that I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm talking gibberish or talking stuff that doesn't make sense. Any hitting coach should be able to explain some of this. And I got to imagine, with as analytical as the Phillies are, that they should be talking about what his batting average is swinging at the first pitch in comparison to every other pitch in that at bat. And I got to imagine that if at his first pitch right now is probably the worst pitch. If you go for the month of October, which would be the playoffs last year, and watch you swinging at that first pitch, you can't even really talk about what the rest of the pitches were in the at bat because you were always swinging at the first pitch and it was always an out.
I'm glad you said that, because that is kind of what Frankie said earlier. That's something that a lot of people criticize me on, because I only played baseball till I was 10. I was terrible at it, but now I coach, and from all accounts, I must not be that terrible because we won a conference championship for the first time in 38 years last year. So it's like I may not have played baseball that long, but I've been around the game for like 25 years.
Well, they say those that can't teach, right? So there you go.
I can't teach it. That's exactly correct. That's exactly
because I watch so much baseball, whether it's college, minors, professional baseball. Like, I watched high school baseball when I was in high school because I didn't play it. Like, I've seen how the kids change, and there's a lot of things that I picked up when I was an assistant coach, like especially when it comes to pitchers. So many coaches just look at what the pitcher throws, and they just kind of look at what the pitcher's like stuff is. I look and see if a pitcher's tipping his pitches. And for the most part, every high school pitcher tips their pitches, what's going to come in specific counts based on what they do with their glove or what they do with their feet. So I can get like a bit of an advantage if I can catch a pitcher doing something when he throws the same pitch every single time.
And again, that's kind of where, I mean, you're seeing all this different stuff that they put up on Instagram, which kind of makes me laugh a little bit. But I mean, you see a couple of right ones where pitchers typically, especially before or like maybe up to college, that wherever their glove is in the windup, that's where you got to have your eye on so that you could have where the ball's going to actually come from, somewhere close to that neighborhood. That if you're in, then the ball's going to be coming in, like it's going to be closer to that. Like, it's a very interesting concept on where you'd be able to pick up the ball. That being said, it's like still, if you aren't fast enough, if you don't have the bat speed, like, and you better know that. You better know what's going on. You better know what's happening. You better start to figure out, hey, just because you like to swing a heavy bat doesn't mean that you should be swinging a heavy bat. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I got to feel like all the analytics that go involved with this are a big deal. Now, I'm interested to see the difference between a regular bat and a torpedo bat and seeing what type of, is it like, because is it because now that first pitch swing, if because he's got a little bit fatter area in that one spot now, will that make a difference? Because it could very well make a difference. But
the average bat speed with the torpedo bat is 87.6 miles an hour. Average bat speed without the torpedo bat is 85.2. So it's about 2 miles an hour quicker.
Well, so that is a very limited amount of information, though, because you're talking about 1,000.
Well, no, I know.
Bat swings.
But the other thing that people are looking,
people using the torpedo.
Yeah, the other thing that people are looking at is the hard hit rate, which a hard hit is considered a baseball that's hit over 101 miles an hour is considered the hard hit rate. Torpedo bat hard hit rate is 41.8%. So basically, almost half of the balls that are put in play with the torpedo bat are considered hard hit balls.
Sure.
It's 34.1% with a regular bat. So
yeah, I think the sample size is really too small to give.
No, it is right now, but that's
number that's meaningful.
That's like the analytics thing that people are looking at with the torpedo bat to see how many more players are going to start wanting to get these bats as the season goes on. Like if the Yankees and like a couple more players throughout the year kind of sporadically add these into their bat racks or whatever, if they can consistently see that hard contact rate be in the 40 to 50% range as opposed to like 30-35%, if they consistently see the bat speed is quicker with these torpedo bats, it's only a matter of time until more teams say, we want these bats for all of our players. We want these bats for all of our players. It's just got to be a longer sample size, like probably I would say the end of May. So a third of the season, basically, if these numbers kind of stay the same as where they are right now, I think you'll start to see more teams invest in more of these torpedo bats because you're going to have a bigger sample size to back up the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, based on the sample size you have currently, I wouldn't do anything.
No.
I mean, if you want to try them out, great. But I wouldn't look at those statistics over 7-8 games and be like, oh.
Especially when it's only one team that everybody uses it, but then you have like a couple guys on the Cubs that have one. I know the Astros have one or two players that have them. Like you don't have like another team where everybody on the team uses it. I think like once you start to see more, like if every team has at least one or two players using this bat, now you're going to be able to get data from every single team to see if it translates from one team to the next or if it's just specific teams that have the increase in data.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to see the guys that are, because, again, it's only a handful of guys that are using this. What were their bat speeds with the normal bat? Like, did they see an increase? Or are we just comparing them to the rest of the league as an average? Because that's kind of a dumb way to do it. Like, if you want to see how this bat is performing, compare their numbers with their own numbers.
Well,
yeah.
Well, listen, Arch, out of all the teams that we have been that are talking about this, your team specifically is going to be very interesting to watch to see what it looks like when they get torpedo bats, if they get torpedo bats, because they stink right now. With their batting average, let's see. All of a sudden, does it? I mean,
you still have to make contact.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. The other thing is that the truth of the matter is that the exponential portion of this is going to wind up averaging out to be exactly the same, because when everybody gets the torpedo bats, now all of a sudden everything goes up a little bit higher and everything remains the same, just a little bit higher, because the teams that have and the teams that have not still.
Well, but does it even do that? Or is it the guys that are currently using it?
Well, what you just said before,
have a higher bat speed anyway.
What you said,
that's the thing, is there's just not enough people using it. And so that's why I think if you're going to really know what the analytics are on the torpedo bat, look at it against what it is those same players did without it.
What you said is the prime example. Anthony Volpe of the Yankees is the one where they were using a lot of the data for, because he was ultimately he was the first one on the Yankees that wanted this torpedo bat.
Sure.
Well, last year his bat speed was 82.9 with a regular bat. Mm-hmm. He's at 87.6 with the torpedo bat this year.
Okay. Are they the same weight?
Yep, same weight, same length, same everything.
But now it's the same weight, but that's skewed as well because now it's end loaded.
Sure.
It's a lot more on the end load than it is in the beginning.
His hard hit rate with the Yankees last year was 32.1. His hard hit rate to start this year is 39.6. So it's gone up about 8%, and he's averaging about 9.5 feet further in distance with the torpedo bat this year.
Yeah. And Chris, it's within the rules. In fact, this bat would have been legal back in the 40s if they wanted to bring it out. So it can be legal. There's nothing wrong with it. And
So,
it's
and really,
still-
and truth of the matter is that the reason why we haven't seen this earlier is because the technology, they're just now playing these games, with the bat technology in terms of getting these bats. I mean, they have to only they only have 3 different woods that they're able to use with this, and I'm feeling that they have to use like they can't use the ash. Like an ash can't be used for this because it shatters too quickly.
yeah, it'd break. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that there's only like a couple of different woods that are able to be used with these bats. So, and ultimately it's a matter of, yeah, all right, then let's shape it out the right way, because it's got to come from the one piece of wood. It's got to be done the proper way, and they never wanted to play a game with these because everything costs money. So like you get a piece of wood, if you put it in this shape and they don't like it, well, then guess what? You just ruined that, bit of money. So it's a lot different. I am going to, once I get back home, and sometime next week, I am definitely going to try to get the Bat King on and have him talk to us about this. I really have a lot of questions that I think that he would be able to answer, because they have to have been playing with these numbers. They have to have seen the data already, and the data. And they said there has to have been a sample size before it even made it to the pros.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was tested for sure.
Yeah.
And Chris, it doesn't necessarily change a competitive advantage, because everyone has the ability to get it. Like if it would be one thing if one team had it and no one else could have it. Sure, that could be a competitive advantage. If it's available to everybody, then there's nothing stopping any other team or player from going and grabbing one of these bats.
And it there is a change in competitive advantage between players anyways, because listen, Aaron Judge could swing a 46-ounce bat. You know what I mean?
Right?
Nobody else could swing a 46-ounce bat. So anytime he hits the ball, that ball's going to go further because it's just got more weight behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's competitive advantage, because anybody else trying to swing a 46-ounce bat ain't going to catch up to a 70 miles per hour fastball.
No, there won't.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's just a monster human. That being said, the top of the hour. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we will see y'all next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows, giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live